Prof, I want to jump straight to you, because I know a lot of the topics that Roble has touched are very close to your heart. You have a wealth of knowledge. I even struggle to think of what would we narrow down to. But maybe I would like you to pick up from that point of pivoting and adapting. And just please share some thoughts that you might have around how our audience and the different business owners on the session can start that journey of adapting to be able to thrive in this new world.
Thank you for highlighting this, and thank you, Roble, because you touched on very key aspects which are happening now as we are discussing this. A few years back, and Alex, you know this, a lot of young people came up with apps trying to help stores like Nakumats, like Uchumi, that you can display your goods so that somebody from their comfort, they can select those goods and they are delivered. They didn't take those young people seriously. Even as we tried to approach them, this is going to be the future, they actually refused. And see what has happened. COVID changed everything. People are buying directly from those who are selling vegetables. The logistics firms have come and confused many of the stores. Now we lost Uchumi, we lost Nakumat, we are losing 2 South African stores, and some which are existing are under threat because of the new nimble businesses that have come and completely changing the business model. When you are too large and you are innovative and you are not in the innovative space or not buying the innovators, you are at risk. This is a very old concept, I think Roble can tell you, which was started by Schumpeter. He said that you have to constantly creatively destroy yourself and recreate yourself to survive. And so when Trigger comes and joins up with a logistics firm, they completely undermine very big department stores, and they don't know how to react to that. And it's going to continue to happen because nimble suppliers of food, for example, they are going to go into niche specialization where they will tell you this is organic and this is where we got it from, as we continue to create trust in terms of supply. And that would confuse a lot of enterprises. But the point I want to make is that this was expected because we kept on preaching that we are now into the 4th industrial revolution, and digitalization mega trend is big. People did not even bother to look into dictionaries what digitalization meant. But now it is hurting them. It is when they're asking, what the hell is digitalization? This is a mega trend that would continue to disrupt us for the next several years because it is an area which undermines the current economic development. Everything, even government has digitized. That's how we are able to get the identity or the passports through Huduma numbers. It's become very easy. People love convenience. And if you are not looking at how you can create convenience for your customers, then you are in trouble.
Thank you, Prof. I'm picking up 2 interesting words that you've just mentioned, which is trust and convenience. But then tying that to also your point around digitization as a mega trend, and that if you ignore that, you're on peril. Is that it? Is that the magic tripartite of how to thrive
Actually,
in this new world?
I was trying to avoid the vocabulary behind it. And the vocabulary behind that is what we call blockchain. If you look at Twiga carefully, they are leveraging blockchain to get such trust and be able to promise the customers precisely what they want. I don't think that what resonates with some of the bigger stores, that you need to know the source of your supplies. Who supplied you with bananas? Where did they come? How are they grown? And all that kinds of information. But smaller companies would be able to provide you such data and even show you which farmer supplied it and even prove the trust. So those are the things that what we call the future technologies, or technologies that would undermine, that would underpin the emerging fourth industrial revolution. That is
Yeah.
what is going to happen. Yeah.
Thank you for that. I know when a lot of people hear the word blockchain and they probably just go, okay, so now we're getting too techy and I might as well just give up because I don't know what this blockchain
Very
business.
simple. It's very
I'm a
simple to
small
understand.
business, I had a restaurant, I used to do deliveries or whatever that might be. What does this whole world of data mean for me? Why should I even bother with the word blockchain? It doesn't feel like it should even appear in the
Yes.
restaurant lingo.
Two key words you have said: blockchain and data.
Yeah.
Blockchain, in very simple English, is an attempt to automate trust. That you can actually trust the source of this, where it came from, what they are saying about it. And the data is very key because everybody is worried about their health. They want to know exactly what amount of fertilizer was used in growing this sukuma wiki. Because our sources of diseases is coming from this. It is important. Actually, most people don't look at every product has the ingredients and how much of those ingredients. Maybe your doctor said you should not have salt or you should not have sugar. These things are becoming more standard, that people require data in order to understand how they can live a better life. And the data and the blockchain are those technologies that will define this phase that we have gotten into, the phase of development.
Maybe I can just add to what Prof was saying. I think you brought a good point in terms of blockchain. It's confusing to SMEs, and I would look at blockchain mostly as an infrastructure. And for smaller business, it's good for you to understand blockchain, but and cloud companies are actually building that infrastructure, and there'll be apps and services on top of blockchain that SMEs can use. So I see it more as an infrastructure and thing. It's good for you to understand how it impacts your business, but a lot of SMEs won't have to go through the trouble of actually building blockchain because it will be available as a infrastructure as a service type thing. Thanks. Sorry, and you're back, and Prof, it's your turn.
Yeah, I think Prof is back now, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Now, Prof, I was actually going to, because I know blockchain is one of those topics that's a whole other webinar we probably need, and Susan, maybe something to think about for the future. But maybe for purposes of today, Prof, I would be asking, what's step one for me as a business owner in trying to understand that world of data and technology? Where should I start today if I was to start this journey today?
What the step one is that make sure that the customer understands, because it's actually what the customer needs. The customer looks at the value proposition of what you are providing. That actually I've got value from this. If you brought potatoes for me and tell me, oh, these are from Nyandarua and such, and then another one comes and says, actually these potatoes, we grew them using manure, and this is what I would go for that because there is data about it. The other one, I suspect that you probably poured very bad fertilizer, which causes cancer, for example, and stuff. So the customers become more savvy than previously when we just looked at the beauty of the potato itself. But the customers now want to know what are they consuming, and that's where data begins. That you must have data to explain the products that you want to supply to the customer.
So it's almost like you start off by enhancing trust as a business principle, because then all the technologies that come in are basically just to help deliver that element of trust even
To
more,
enhance, right? Yes, to enhance. Actually, what we've been saying is that in order to change the SME sector, is to help them be able to tell you about their product. Yeah, if I'm selling, say, pawpaws or mangoes, I would say these are actually naturally grown, and no fertilizer has ever been used, and this is where they grow, so that I can begin to understand if they're sweet. I can associate that with either the climate or where the source they came from. It makes my decision easier later on, because I know that I was given this information and this is the data that I need.
Yeah. And I can see how that becomes quite essential, especially now that sort of like person-to-person relationships are going to shift quite a bit, because with digitization, as you have alluded to, it's now me serving a bunch of strangers who will probably never meet me, and so trust is really the only thing that I'm left with, right?
Trust is big. Trust is very big. You can lie to me today and sell me something, but I would find out and I would never deal with you. And that's what most people need to know. That you get your repeat customers from trust. You can't get repeat customers by lying, because they will never come back to you. And in entrepreneur, I teach entrepreneurship. Much of when a crisis comes like this, you rely most on your repeat customers. And those are very key. If you have a critical mass of that, then you're fine. I see it in my house here, where mama calls another mama in city market, when you were young kando, that guarantees you some business. But if you lied, she will probably go to another person and try to find where there is trust.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I feel like I'm curtailing a lot of amazing conversations we could have with you, Prof, on this topic. But I just want to bring in Lorna into the conversation now, because I think she can help us really land these points that both you and Roble have said in practically in terms of her business and how she's been navigating this space.
We've been working with youth and women groups for the last 10 years. And so far, we've been able to withdraw over 5 million kilograms of plastic waste that would have been otherwise thrown out there, littering the streets, clogging the sewage, and even encroaching into our homes. And that has enabled us to provide suitable alternative to timber. So we've been able to save over 450 acres of forest as we're speaking today. And this has enabled us to create over 2,000 direct and indirect jobs. This is especially to youth and women in the marginalized areas. I'm so glad and privileged to be an ABSA client who has also participated very actively in the transition of the ABSA from Barclays. And we got an opportunity even to receive waste, a lot of the waste, especially the plastic waste and the metal waste that came from that transition. And every day, when you have something, you utilize it. How did we use it? We used the Barclays plastic to make a very strong Gaza bridge. I don't know if you've heard about it, the one in Kwale, that is a project for women that is helping to conserve the mangrove forests. The metal waste, we used it to fabricate our plastic recycling machines. And our new latest invention, which I'm very excited about, from the waste, the 100% recycled plastic waste, together with some of the metal from the Barclays waste, we manufactured and refurbished hands-free foot pedal sanitizers to tackle the COVID challenge. So I would, whenever you see an opportunity, like waste is not waste until it is wasted, you take it and you make it into something. For the first time, the world in many years, the world has been threatened by this pandemic, and it's affecting everyone, all citizens of all countries. It does not discriminate the rich or the poor, the young or the old. This pandemic has actually exposed a lot of weaknesses and vulnerabilities in our systems and in our normal ways of life. And we require innovations to be able to solve these innovative solutions. Entrepreneurs have always thrived where there are problems. Coronavirus can be the opportunity for you to do business and do business very well. So what are you doing about it? I believe innovation is the key to solving all the most pressing societal challenges. And for example, at Ecopost, how have we responded? We have seen this plastic waste, we have seen this challenge, the coronavirus pandemic, and we are we are manufacturing food pedal sanitizers. These are zero touch, zero contamination, hands-free food pedal sanitizers that will protect you and your family. So they're very effective. They can be used at supermarkets, they can be used at schools, homes, public places like the bus stations, and all other places. So I encourage entrepreneurs, even in different industries. Is it a food industry? Do not despair that maybe you're in the entertainment business and you're not operating because of the lockdown at night. Entrepreneurs have thrived in problems. So this could be the chance for you to reinvent yourself. Go out there and see what else can you do. Is it in agribusiness? How are you looking at the challenge? We should look at our problems, the glass half full. Like if this is the challenge that we have right now, and entrepreneurs are the ones who are going to remove us out of this crisis. This and post-COVID, private sectors will be the ones driving the economy, and you need to be in that position. How have you placed yourself to thrive in the new normal? Yes. So my advice to actually the entrepreneurs out there is, if you have an idea, just start doing something. There's no losing. It's always learning. There are no problems. It's just challenges, and welcome the challenges, my friends. You see, even if that challenge comes in what dimensions. For example, Ecopost lost its forest, its factory last year to a fire. I started this corona problem a long time ago, but when I fell back with my back so that when you fall, you make sure you fall on your back so that you can rise back up. Sometimes God closes a door so that it can provide a window with a better view, my friends. So just go out there, start something. There's no losing. It's always a learning opportunity. And now we are there, we are striving and we are providing, and we are going to continue reinventing. Reinvent yourself such that you can be able to add value. What is important is the why. Why are you doing it? When you strive to create solutions that impacts life, life becomes even better for you. And I encourage people to think impact and think Ecopost when you think impact too. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Very, very inspiring, Lorna. And it's just, some of the points jumping out at me. In fact, there's a statement you've made, which I know Prof is also a big fan of. And he says that enterprises are built on problems. And so what somebody else considers a problem for you should be a business opportunity. And what you're also alluding to, that, this period is challenging for everyone. And the opportunity for me as a business person is to then say, okay, so what are those challenges and what can I do? And I love that example of what you've given about what you're doing with sanitizers, because that's you using a skill set and capability that is already there at Ecopost, because we know you for making posts, but now you're making sanitizers that are very relevant to the times. And so are very practical examples there of what's happening.